My mate Ryan over here. Shout out Ryan, put your hands up.
Hi Ryan.
So when we were younger, Ryan was doing reviews for Gigwise. I respected his opinion a lot and he loves music, and he came to our second ever show and I was like, mate, what do you think? And he was like, I just have to be honest, but you don't have it. This isn't the one. Shout out Ryan.
101. Maybe shite jobs where you feel like a mug is a good place to start. Is there one side role, one part-time side hustle that you had that sticks out as being a real nasty one?
The Odeon.
The Odeon?
Fuck the Odeon.
We can edit that out.
Leave it in.
Which town?
Maidstone.
Okay.
Name and shame. Yeah. I forgot to ask for 3D glasses. I was like standing on that bit where you rip the tickets to let people through.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that I'd ever been trusted. And there was a rush for Avatar. I was about 16. And I called over the radio. I was like, oh, we've run out of 3D glasses. And she literally, the manager came out with a big box, threw them at my feet and went, you should have been prepared for this. Basically called me an idiot. And the second worst thing that happened there was I was on the counters just serving like popcorn and Ben and Jerry's. And this guy was like, oh, I'll have X, Y, Z and just give me 2 scoops of ice cream. And like Ben and Jerry's is pretty like intimate, right? Your ice cream order is important. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what 2 scoops do you want? And he was like, any. And I was just like, so do you want like cookies and whatever? And he went, any, you fucking cunt. And I was like, wow. And I told my manager and she was like, he's the customer, just do what he wants. And I got fired pretty soon after. I got let go. How
do you deal with those sorts of, I feel like there's a few kind of buckets of types of people who deal with those scenarios differently. What bucket do you fall into? Are you someone who can you suffer fools?
Maybe now, but back then it was like your face goes red, your all of your functions like leave you. Yeah. I'm trying to hit the till and the whole order is cancelled. It's really awful.
That's such a feeling, isn't it? Where like you're under pressure and you just can't do the thing that you could do usually with your eyes closed.
So apparently my therapist says it's not just fight and flight. You also have fight, flight, freeze and flop. And I think I definitely used to freeze and flop. I didn't understand why everyone was telling me to go to university. So you got to like 13, 14 and they tell you to pick your GCSEs purely based on what you want to do at university. And I sat down with the like careers lady who gives you your job experience for a week. And I was like, I want to be in a band. She's like, I've got no job experience for that. And she was like, what else are you interested in? And I was like, art, media. And they just forgot me. So when it came to the work experience week, I just sat at home, like expecting to get called up. And I didn't. And then by the time I got to 18 and everyone else was going to uni, I felt like I'm too old now, I'm never going to make it, because I'm really blessed that I knew what I wanted to do since I was 6 years old. And that is really tricky. People not knowing what they want to do sets them back a lot further. If you have a goal, you can shoot towards it. Even if you fail, you can keep trying. I'm just really, I guess I'm a rare case of saw Slash when I was 6 and I was like, I want to do something like that.
You must have had people telling you can't do it.
Everyone.
So that's quite a funny place to be. You're 16, 17 being like, I just want to play in a band.
Yeah.
But everyone around you, most people around you are saying, you're a mug.
So next part-time job shout out is my uncle hired me to work in his timber yard, Alsford Timbers, shout out. And I'm not very good at numbers, and builders aren't very forgiving people, and they come in and they reel off 3 numbers, not just one. They'll be like, I need a bit of 2x4 at like something inches, and I'm just like, what the fuck did you just say? And that was another time I got called a cunt, because and my uncle said to me after about 2 months of working this job, I'll give you a full-time job, and you know it will be like 16k a year. It's really good, but you've got to give up all this silly music business because you can't take every weekend off to play gigs. And my mum was like, you really should take him up on this offer. Think about it seriously. They were panicking, I guess. And I was like, you don't understand. Like, I'm going to be in a band. I love my uncle, but, you know, proved him wrong as well.
Good on you. What is a 2x4?
It's like a generic.
Sorry.
I'm not sure. We'll fact check that later.
So then what happens next? Because you might be wicked. You might be a serious shredder. You might be going down to the Tap and Tin in Chatham and blowing minds. What's that jump between like, I'm going to play music, but then actually like finding the time to do it, as well as, I mean, you might not be paying rent if your folks were fine with you staying at home, but still, you can't just be, you can't have £0 forever.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing that differed with me and my contemporaries is they were all going out to nightclubs like Sauce Bar. Anyone been to Sauce Bar? Yeah. And I just didn't because I couldn't afford it. Like the taxi back to my house would have been like 20 quid and I was like saving that for petrol, band practice, buying pedals. I don't know, when you're like hyper fixated on a goal, the money's kind of like secondary. But like at the same time, we never played a gig for free. Like we were the era of you could play the Purple Turtle in Camden, but you had to sell X amount of tickets. And that was how you played. And we never did any of those shows. To play. We always insisted that there was enough money to cover the petrol. And then we came up with it was really fortunate because there were only two of us. It only had to be split two ways. So that was a happy accident.
That's brains.
We wouldn't be able to function now if we had four members.
Yeah.
That's the industry we're in.
And you had, we're going forward a little bit here, but Fran was saying yesterday you saw it at Glastonbury last year or year before. And you did a bit where you were like, no one said a two-piece band could do this. And you were on the other stage or something like that. You know, it's like a big moment. That must feel really mad now when you two look at each other.
Well, I didn't think we could do this because when we started Slaves, that was the first time I made a band that was about what I wanted to do rather than what I thought people wanted to hear. And having fun and accessing a place of this is exactly what I want to do. But I was like, no one's going to buy this. I'd been in bands before. We were the Indian dubstep generation. So everyone was either a bedroom producer or trying to sound like the Kooks or Block Party. And I was like, I want to be in a punk band. And I couldn't find anyone else to do it with me. So all the stories like Fuck the Hi-Hat are true. It's like we asked loads of people to be in our band and no one wanted to join our band. But then we got a record deal and a few people were like, you remember you said that you needed a drummer? Is that offer still going?
Was it a lyric thing as well? The first tune I heard, I'm going to make it, it's where's your car? Where's my car? Debbie, where's your car? And I remember thinking, this is funny. Feels like immediately musically I could get into it. But then lyrically it's like, oh, this is funny. This feels like your mates writing a funny song that's also really good.
I think it was a friendship that got written down into music. So we were behind the Tunbridge Wells Forum and our manager at the time said, boys, can you walk Debbie back to her car? And the Tunbridge Wells Forum has a road that's not street lit and it's a bit scary. And there had been reports in the local newspaper of a Sasquatch being sighted in Victorian times. And then in recent times it had been sighted again. And like, we're not even making this up. This is just what happened. And then Isaac said, where's your car, Debbie? And I just said to him, that's a good idea for a song. And that's how we write songs.
You heard it here first. I hope you haven't said that before.
We say it a lot.
When was the first time you realised you didn't need to go to a job that you would inevitably leave soon?
Well, when we got signed to a major label, that was just like, we didn't get any offers from an indie label. We got offered one agent, we got offered one record deal, and that was it, one publishing deal. There was never a bidding war. And when that check came in, it was like, cool, now we can just focus on the band.
That's mad.
It's really mad.
Have you learned since that isn't the normal way it happens?
Yeah, it's... we are an anomaly. What we do is very unique. It shouldn't work. It does work. If I tried to make up another band, I wouldn't be able to come up with something as unique as that. It's just as much luck and fortune as it is hard work. When
you were doing the band and when you were like... Because I think of... I'm sure everyone in this room probably feels it in some extent, you know, probably to a big extent. You were brought up by school, your folks, whoever, to be like, this is what you do at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning. right? This is what you do at 5:30, you finish. To get out of that routine that's so ingrained in most people's minds, how was that?
I guess on a subconscious level, I only saw my dad on the weekends, and he was putting on a shirt and a tie to come up to the city, leaving at 5 a.m. And then I would only get to see him Saturday and a bit of Sunday, and then he was off again, just absent figure, working himself into the ground. And then I got to 16 and he had a major stroke, and then he was never the same again. I watched that and I was like, fuck that. And it was him having that stroke that was the catalyst I needed to be like, cool, I'm not doing that. And before that, there was this pressure to go to university, get a degree, do better than we did, rise up the ranks, whatever. And I was just like, I've just watched you do everything you're meant to do to have a stroke, and your life's over, and I'm not going to do it. So you do need that, like, trauma allows you to level up in a quicker way. And I wouldn't change anything. It gave me that fight and that power to be like, someone's got to do it.
Yeah. And did that 8 a.m. bus into Rainy Town, Tunbridge Wells, did that turn into, I'm going to go to the studio, or I'm going to play my guitar, or I'm going to put pen to paper, I'm going to make something here?
Yeah, we were willing to do stuff that other bands weren't willing to do, like get offered a gig in Penzance on a Thursday night, like get offered the gig on Thursday night, ring Isaac and be like, cool, we've been offered a gig, but I have to pick you up after work tomorrow and we've got to drive to Penzance. And he's like, cool, let's go. And we'd get in my Renault Clio, drive 8 hours, play the show on Friday, stay on a stranger's floor, and then drive home and go back to work on a Sunday. And not everyone's willing to do that.
Finding one other person to do that, we were just talking about ska and growing up around ska punk, and I often think about how ska bands with 8 members manage to do anything. But even finding one person who's down with doing something like that, again, that's rare.
It's the magic of friendships and the magic of relationships in general. And as I've got older and we had our hiatus and whatnot, I realized there's a real power, like a cosmic, magical thing that happens when me and Isaac are together. And it's fortunate that we got to meet each other.
Yeah. You do loads of art. We were going to try and show them up there, but it's online. People who follow you know that you're a brilliant artist. Some great colours, some great, like, it's quite punk. I describe it as quite punk, but it's also like, it's beautiful in that way. It's colourful. You know, when did you start doing art? When did you start getting into that?
I guess I've been drawing longer than I've been making music. I think everything that feels really good in my life, and this is looking back with perspective, it's not something that I've always been hyper aware of, but connecting to my inner child. The stuff that I do that is play is the best stuff, because it's not like, you watch children grow up and they don't have all of these things that they have to do, and they don't feel judgment from peers yet, and they're just free, and that is freedom, is playing. So I that's why I do it, and that's why I make music, and that's why I also like to wrestle men in pajamas.
It was a difficult introduction when you came in earlier. That's good. Trying to, like, staying green and being a kid, that's another thing that's kind of beaten out of you. You know, quite often, you know, everyone knows that feeling of getting on the train. It's like, fuck, everyone's face looks like a slapped, you know, pig's ass. And it's just like, how do we fight to stay childish? You know, especially right now. I did a chat with Mary Wallopers, and they put it better than I ever could. They were like,
love that band.
Life is so shite right now that you might as well fuck off all the stuff you think you're supposed to do and do the things that you want to do. You might as well try, because that's better than any alternative.
Yeah, there's no reason not to, apart from our own self-consciousness. Like, we might look silly, or what would people think? But fuck that.
You must have had, as an adult, or like any time really, you must have had those moments where you were like, you know, you second-guessed yourself, or you doubted yourself, or like you're like, do I look like an idiot? You know, everyone has that.
I've got like 2 albums worth of that.
So you put it into music, you try and put it into records.
Yeah, and I think you have to be kind to your younger self and just be like, it was what it was back then, but we finally made a record that I'm really proud of, so that's part of it. You've got to make mistakes to realise that there's better stuff out there as well.
Yeah. Being from these kind of punk scenes, it can get quite cliquey. Any scene can get quite cliquey. From the start, it seems like, well, first of all, you didn't really give a fuck, but also secondly, it's like, well, who cares? It's like, there's something about the band that it's like, it's not really relevant to those cliquey scenes. It can be for anyone out on the street. Did you know that when you were writing those records? Were you like, do you know what? I think this is sort of like heavy, but in a really clever way, simple enough for people to be like, to get into that motion. That's what I do when I listen to your records. I do a lot of that.
Yeah, I think we were trying to sound like bands that were a lot cooler, and then it just comes out through your filter. And I was like, we're never going to play on a stage because it sounds so scrappy and lo-fi. And my mate Ryan over here, shout out Ryan, put your hands up.
Hi, Ryan.
So when we were younger, Ryan was doing reviews for Gigwise. So I've valued his opinion a lot. And I'm so gassed I get to say this on a podcast. Anyway, I respected his opinion a lot, and he loves music. And he came to our second ever show, and I was like, mate, what do you think? And he was like, I just have to be honest, but you don't have it. This isn't the one. Shout out Ryan.
Have you got anything to say about that now, Ryan?
Love you, man.
What we're trying to say here is don't trust music journalists. I don't know anything.
I guess there's a deeper thing to that, though, that like even my mum didn't like my music. Do you know what I mean? Like people I love, like, yeah, I don't get it. So there's a sense of, there's something that I'm always trying to think about at the moment, is this authenticity of being yourself is fucking uncomfortable. It's like, oh, I want to wear this, but not everyone else wears this, or I want to do this, or when I grew up, you had to pretend that you only listened to one genre of music so you fitted in. Whereas now, it's cool watching kids grow up and they can embrace being very different. But, you know, we're Chavs and Grungers era. So it's like, well, you pick, do you like rap or rock? And then like Limp Bizkit like went, oh, you can like both. Yeah, I don't know. Beastie Boys if you're a bit older.
Yeah. Do you see that in your kids? I mean, they're young, right? But are they listening to music? Are they responding?
Yeah, like my eldest loves metal, like, and then as soon as it gets soft, he's not interested. And then my daughter likes pop music, and we listen to a lot of Spice Girls and the classics. And then my youngest likes a mixture of both, and we jump between like Motorhead and Spice Girls. So it's just getting better as they get younger.
That is like TikTok. That's TikTok, isn't it?
I don't go on TikTok.
Do you do that? I mean, becoming a band, like being a band and being on social media. I don't know if this is silly to talk about, but fuck it. It's like, that's the way you speak to your audience. You must have had to care at some point. Like, okay, we have to go on Instagram, so we might as well do it in a way that's funny.
Yeah, I think that again happened kind of by accident, where like Isaac used to write. I think one of the things that got us attention in the music industry with labels was when we used to use Facebook a lot, we'd write these really long, ridiculously fake stories, because we'd be in the van or the car and we'd be like, we've just bumped into Anne Widdecombe in the service station, and we're like, fuck, what are you doing? And then Isaac would write like she had like 2 for 1 on Lucasades and 2 Twix. And then there'd be another one where it's like, we just bumped into Sonia from EastEnders and Laurie slipped on a Glacier cherry. And it's just us entertaining ourselves. It was that friendship that allowed us, because we gave each other the confidence to be silly. Yeah. And then we wrote 2 albums where I tried not to be silly and wanted to be serious and wanted to be taken seriously. And then when we came back with Heavy Jelly, I had like a fresh perspective of being silly was what people liked about us, and it's who we are. And then we managed to meld the heaviness and the silliness into one thing and own it. But it took me fucking years to just accept that is who we are.
Because you're probably recording it one year, releasing it the next, writing the next over the next year, and then 2 more years down. That's a good chunk of your life. Yeah,
like looking back now and they're saying, when's the next album coming? And I realised, oh, it was a couple of years ago we recorded it, and then even longer when we wrote it. But it's such a massive undertaking making a record. It's not easy. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, we've got to do it again now. It's part of it.
How do you look back across like those 2 records, but like that period? How do you look back on that? Because this must be like madly overwhelming to even think about that stuff and like reflect. But that's a good way to move forward with it in anyone's life, to reflect on what you've done and who you've been, and to be like, okay, where am I going to go from there?
Well, yeah, it feels like it's like a flash because I'm talking to bands like Kneecap and they're my age and they're just getting there, or they're more than just getting there. But I'm like, I've already been doing this for like 12 years, 14 years. And I'm like, I can't believe I grew up in it. And then there are new artists that I'm working with in the studio and they're my age. So it just happened. I had to grow up with it. And there's stuff I don't like about it, but I just look back at it and go, that is what I had to learn to get to here.
Yeah. That must be cool going into the studio now, doing the production work, doing your solo record work. Jolly Thomas, he seems like your guy.
Yeah, he's a good
dude. Each other in the
dude.
studio.
Yeah, I think that's also a tricky one because you get encouraged to try other producers and see what's out there, but he kind of does form that third part of our band, and he really gets us sonically because it's not easy to record because it's a unique setup, and he understands us and he's in with it. So yeah,
You're in a good place now with it, going into the studio and being like, I know the feeling of what I'm trying to go for.
yeah, I feel a lot more confident. I know how to press play on Pro Tools now. I never used to know. He'd leave the studio and you'd be like, how the fuck do you get this to work?
I suppose there are producers out there that don't know how to work Pro Tools or whatever you're using, right?
Yeah, like they stand at the back, and Jolien's like got everything, like engineer, mix, master. Well, he doesn't master, but yeah, engineer, produce, mix.
I don't think Rick Rubin can actually do anything technical.
He's doing all right.
When you sit down with a guitar now, like how does it work? Will you sit down with a guitar at home? Will it be you and Isaac in the room together? How is it text? Is it WhatsApp?
I think we try and write stuff in different ways, but ultimately the best stuff comes out when we are there and I'm playing my guitar and he goes, here's an idea, and we bounce off each other, like that chemistry. I used to try and write like musical arrangements and give them to him, and that doesn't work. It's got to have him tied down, full attention, and then we go.
And that is a journey. I don't want to labor on the point too much, but it's like that journey of like working out what you're trying to do. That's the work. Talking about 101 jobs, it's like that's so many jobs in being a band, in being a songwriter. That's so many sort of challenges, and being like, okay, how do I do this? How does anyone do this?
Yeah, and then in a long form way, like we had the title for our last album at the beginning, and I found that really useful. And to only have learnt that X amount of albums in, I wish I could have known that earlier, but that won't work for everyone. I definitely think working to a theme or having an idea of where the music should sit works, or even what you want to do. Sometimes you just turn up to the blank page and it's impossible. So there's always got to be work. I hear it in my head. I'm not a very good guitarist, so it's like I have to work out what I'm hearing and then try and play it.
And you got a sick looking guitar though, so that like
Spiky guitar, inner child stuff.
Yeah. And if you can play something all right on that, it's like even better.
Yeah, I just keep breaking them though.
How?
Because like they're too pointy and they like hit stuff when I jump around. Oh well.
Heavy Jelly has just come out. It's got like 4 tracks. One with Kate Nash.
Yeah.
She's a legend.
Big up, Kate.
What she's been talking about in music, exactly what this show is about, which is like, how do artists do it? Because we're all part of it. You know, we're all part of that conversation. What she's been talking about now, it's like, oh yeah, like that is, she's got like new life into her.
It's super inspiring as well. And just these artists, like we were talking about Kneecap earlier, and Kate's another one. It's really hard to be super eloquent and get your point across and then be on stage and have adrenaline and then do it again and then write songs about it. It's not an easy thing to do. So big love to all of them.
Heavy Jelly, it was because you were going to a jiu-jitsu class and that's what your instructor said. Stand like Heavy Jelly.
He's like, give them resistance, because we were doing ground fighting. This was Japanese jiu-jitsu for all my nerds. And he was like, we're going to do ground fighting and I want you to give your opponent some opposition to work with, but don't be full on. Just pretend you're like, Heavy Jelly. And that's where like that note-taking brain comes in.
Could you see the colours on the record cover as well there? Did you know it was going to look...
I thought the jelly was going to be red, but Isaac, as soon as it came up, he was like green, and I was like, whoa.
We're going to take a little break in a second so we can get some more drinks and come back to it. But on Heavy Jelly, what do you think you'll most look back on during that time? Whether it's writing, recording those songs, playing those songs now, maybe it might be tonight that you remember the most. But what do you think you'll look back on and be like, that was the feeling that I'll remember, that feeling will stay with?
It's quite deep, but it's like it was a rebirth, a resurrection, and it was finally like having my friend back properly. That's the bit that was most important. Like, Isaac and I drifted and came back together, and that the name change, the record, we finally set everything straight, and it felt like our relationship could bloom. And then we're on stage being free because of all the work we put in, and that's the thing that feels really significant to me.
Yeah, good stuff. Can we get a round back? That's nice. Text your friends.
Kiss your friend.
101. Heavy Jelly, Jiu-jitsu. Every time I look at your account, it's like, man's training.
It's got to be done.
How did you get into it?
I had tonsillitis about 3 years ago, and I was sitting on the sofa, and I finally watched Cobra Kai. And I was like, damn, I really want to wear one of those outfits. So I just Googled like martial arts clubs, and Brazilian Jiu-jitsu looked quite like masculine and scary. So I found this
exactly the kind of place where you'd want to be.
Well, I had to get a stepping stone. I found a Japanese Jiu-jitsu course, and it was a bit more nerdy and I don't know what you'd call it. So I went there.
You'd invest in it. Like, was there like a questionnaire? How'd you do it?
It was
when you say nerdy,
it was a website, and the way that it had been written, like, you know, they referenced Daniel's son. It was way more tongue in cheek, whereas like Brazilian Jiu-jitsu felt, it was, you know, it was bulldogs and snap people's ankles.
Okay.
I wasn't ready for that yet. But yeah, so I tried Japanese Jiu-jitsu for a year, and it was a good starting point because I was so unfit and overweight. And then I just realized I really loved rolling around on the floor with other people, and that was my favorite bit. So I signed up for Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, and now it's like one of the best things I've done in my adult life.
I think when you feel a bit crap, or like whatever, mental, physical, whatever it is, to even think about getting out of that, one of the biggest things is like, oh, but it's so far away. You know, it's going to be like a year between what I'm feeling right now to what I think I want to feel like. Was that in your mind?
I've never had problems starting things. I get into a lot of things, but I don't stick at them. So it definitely has always been in the back of my mind. And I think as this journey has progressed, I've realized it's a lot more about a lifestyle rather than a quick goal. Like I was brought up in the noughties, so it was like everything was diet this or Weight Watchers or Slim Fast. We were sold this idea that you could get there quick, and you can't. Scams, yeah. So it's been changing my whole outlook on everything, like a holistic approach to being healthier mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And doing a sport has allowed me to want to stay healthier and fitter and go to the gym and run, because then I can be better at wrestling people.
You're doing competitions?
Occasionally.
What's that like?
It's the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. I'd literally rather walk on stage in my pants at Glastonbury.
Do you get recognised? Are you ever up against someone who's like, listen to your band?
So I think people were pretty cool. Like at my gym, about like 6 months in, someone would be like, I know who you are, whilst they're like choking me out.
Yeah.
But no, it's all been pretty cool. And
have you fought Graham from High Viz, Graham Sale?
Well, he's a Muay Thai guy, so if he wants to do a few MMA rounds...
Pronounced correctly.
I love High Viz and I love Graham, and if we're stood up together, he's going to fuck me up. But if I get him down to the ground, I've got a good chance.
There is a ring right here that we could...
Doesn't look very safe. I'll do it, though.
It's been fun watching your videos when you've been on tour, because you run, you do stuff then, like you stay active. That's nice, and that's quite nicely sort of the antidote of like the rock and roll trope of getting pissed every night and feeling gross in the morning.
I do a bit of both. In Buddhism, they call it the middle way.
Okay.
You know, I think it's important to give in to some of the earthly temptations, but also to have the other side to balance it. Like, I just see it's all a yin yang. It's got to have the light and the dark. So I do lose my head occasionally, and then I have to recalibrate. But that's what everyone's trying to do, I think.
You're what? You're 32. You're a young man still. There's a lot of maturity in that. Do you feel like you've had to grow up quite fast in the last 10, 12 years?
Yeah, I think just the way the cards have fallen for me has meant that things have happened that I've had to deal with that might be more intense than other people. I've had my dad was ill, and then the partner that I had my first 2 children with died of cancer, and they're things that I dealt with, and they've added to, I feel stronger for it, and they make you level up quickly whether you want to or not, but you get a different perspective. Like I don't sweat the small stuff like I used to, but I don't think anyone can teach you how to do that. It's something everyone has to learn on their own. So yeah, I guess I've always had that. I've always wanted to get to the next thing, so I'm actually trying to do the opposite now and then just enjoy where I'm at.
Yeah. Imagine that's hard. You're in a band, everything's moving so quickly, you're getting emails doing this, emails doing that.
The constant battle with your dopamine and adrenaline is relentless, because I'm at home and I love my get up at 6:45, go to bed at 9, turn the laptop off at 10 routine, and then you go on tour and it's like come off stage at 11 or 12, and then whatever happens until 5 a.m, then fall asleep. And it's something you've just got to work with.
It's just something we've started reading a bit more, hearing about more about the mental health that artists face. Is that something that you've educated yourself on and informed on? Did you notice a shift in yourself with that kind of wider, don't want to call it a trend, but with that wider kind of acknowledgement? It's like, oh, if you do that all the time, you're going to end up in a bad place.
Yeah, I don't think it's even just in our industry. I think it's in the world. Like people are only just learning now. Like this, I don't know, the studies are coming out that are linking gut health to your mental health. And I was listening to the Blind Boy podcast today where he interviews someone specifically about that, and how having more gut bacteria is linked with having a better mental health. We just grew up drinking fizzy drinks and never drank water, had squash. It's for everyone. It's not just for musicians. It's alcohol and sugar is so readily available, and then it's something that you're trying to teach your kids. I think it's something that everyone is going through their own journey with. But also, I love sugar.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to talk about without being oh, I know everything. As soon as you put something online or something, it's just it's some kind of I'm better than you. It's actually annoyingly hard to talk about this stuff.
It's incredibly hard. And earlier you wanted to get onto the topic of social media, and I think actually I pull back a lot. I go to post stuff and I'm not going to post that because of X, Y, and Z, and trying to really actually just be yourself online and accept it. Because I'm watching everyone else's stories, just I like you in real life, but you're a fucking dick online. And and I'm well, you're thinking about that about me too. And then I just don't post anything. But yeah.
Yeah. I think about it with the show, I'll clip up a bit that I think is really inspiring, but then maybe in another voice, it's oh, that's sort of some messiah complex. It's
yeah, do you ever listen to voice notes back? It's horrific. My voice.
You must have had that in photos. I mean, you've been having photos taken of yourself.
If you Google me, it's horrific. I'm 8 different people. It's he got into running there. Then he had his first kid there. That was the Mohawk era. Isaac's been pretty consistent, just gradually getting more and more hench. And he always stuck to the colour black and Adidas, and it's worked well for him. I've definitely tried a lot more stuff out, and
the Trilby era.
It's haunting.
What's the style era that you regret the most about yourself?
No regrets. No regrets. But when I look back at the sort of tartan suit phase, I'm but we got to go through these things.
You got to go through it. Has anyone here ever worn a Trilby hat or gone through a Trilby hat phase? No, yeah.
Oh, there he is. It's just under his seat now. That is savage, Giles.
He's got an acoustic guitar as well. 4 chords and the truth. When did you start doing stuff with brands and putting together your mind for a creative vision? You've done stuff with Adidas, Lazy Oaf, is it? Brands, because we live in such a heavily branded world, you can't really avoid it. And I feel you must have had a couple of thoughts being okay, what do I do here? I want to be creative. There's also brands. There's also big capitalism in the picture, you know, what can I do to stay creative? What's been this is quite a big question really, but how did you get into that? How did you develop through that?
I think the main thing is they come to you, which is really frustrating because for years I was like, how do we get the Adidas plug? Like everyone else is wearing Adidas. And there were rumors flying around about how much Jungle were being paid to wear Adidas. And you're like, why can't we get paid to wear Adidas? But they came to us because they saw a historic thing of us always wearing it. So when we came out with our first ever press shots around Are You Satisfied? And we were wearing the tracksuits in Feed the Manta Ray. And it was something that fitted with our band. And as a brand, they want people that apply to it the same way when they did the Korn collaboration. It had to make sense. They can't just offer this band it if it's not been part of their narrative.
All day I dream about sex.
What?
All day I dream about Adidas. Korn. It's a Korn lyric.
Okay, you've exposed me now.
That's right, isn't it? Yeah. Korn have a song called All Day I Dream About Sex. Adidas.
I'm like
not a real fan.
No, fair weather fan. Sorry. But yeah,
Korn tattoo right there.
Oh yeah, sick Korn tattoo.
No, but yeah, it makes sense. If it makes sense, then it's because it's funny because as an audience member, if you're like that doesn't make sense to that band, you're gonna lose faith in that.
Yeah, like things come in and you have to debate whether it's right for you or not, and you have to turn stuff down as well.
So you've drawn stuff with them, you designed stuff with them.
With Heavy Jelly, we're the second band that got a fully customizable trainer. So like Korn were the thing that allowed Adidas to do it. When that project went well, they approached us and they pitched us a shoe based on Heavy Jelly. And to be honest, they read our minds. It's one of the first times in my creative career where I looked at the design and I went, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I gave a few little inputs like, can we do this here and this here? Dream come true.
And you get paid for it.
A little bit. Well, we get to sell the trainers and we make money off that eventually.
That's what skaters do, isn't it? If you ever met a pro skater, they'll let you on a pair of shoes.
I met 2 pro skaters in 2 weeks. Are you into skating? You are, aren't you? Jimmy Wilkins. He's like the best vert skater in the world.
Street only.
And then the next week, well, you won't like this either then, met Tony Hawk.
I mean, Tony Hawk is
Jeez.
Cool. Did he tell us about meeting Tony Hawk?
He is the most relaxed, famous person I've ever met. Like, he's probably up there with the most famous person I've ever met. And he just walked into our dressing room area at Coachella, no security, just 2 of his mates, and he asked us for a selfie.
Come on.
That's cool, right? Yeah.
Can you remember what your response was? What your immediate words were?
Hell yeah. Come on, Tony. Snuggle in.
He changed our lives. Like, it's the music, it's the soundtrack.
Pro Skater 2.
Obviously, it's like the hours and hours and hours on end playing it. But the music that just fucking gets burned into your mind from that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was so culturally significant for our age group, and I'm sure the ones after. But he's one of those famous people that transcends the thing he does and is just larger than life. And also has had an incredible amount of shit and is still amazingly nice. People are still really horrible about him, like skaters that I meet. Yeah. Tony all the way. Oh, this is a good one. I'll shout this one out. We were on Jules Holland for the first time, and after our performance, we walked past Bono because U2 were playing, and this is a true story, but it was one of our Facebook Day ones. And so Isaac can be a little bit unaware at times. That's the way of putting it. And Isaac's walking across the studio floor, and Bono's entourage, like 8 security deep around him, are coming straight at him, but Isaac's not aware. And so I think Bono has to walk through him, and the security kind of like tug him out the way. And Bono's like, great show, man. And Isaac went, you too. And then he gets back to the dressing room and it clicks and he goes, fuck, I just said you too to Bono. And I was like, what did he look like? And I was like, he looked pretty pissed off, he said. But yeah, he was like, he invited us to come and see him live, and he was trying to get Are You Satisfied before it came out, and he was a really nice guy.
Quality. Isaac will never have another chance to set that right, will he? I mean, like,
I think it went perfectly. He'll never get that like open goal and score again, and he didn't even realise he was doing it.
What's the most embarrassed you've felt in recent times? Has there been a moment that, putting you on the spot here for a little bit, but
Just like on school pickup every day, when other parents like start asking, well, like there's this thing that happens where you'll be walking past someone at the school gate for like 2 years, and then out of nowhere they'll just somehow have seen something, and they don't introduce themselves, they don't say hi, they just go, saw you on the telly last night, and like about Glastonbury, and it is so jarring because I'm in dad mode and I just go, whoa, and then you're nice and stuff, and then like now that's set, so now I'm always going to remember that now the bubbles burst. That feels quite embarrassing because that makes you feel quite naked.
But you can always just be polite. You can. It's the oh, good show. Cheers, mate. Thank you. You know, tight set.
Yeah.
Keep it to the minimal.
I just find that really hard. Like, I don't know how to cut that. Like that kind of interaction, I really struggle with.
You're just like waiting.
I'm just
hovering.
lingering, just like, or like oversharing, or.
Hey, this is good. Thank you so much for being up for this chat. Your band's been around a long enough time for it to be deep, and for you to have been through so many different stages of your life. I appreciate you coming here and talking about it, and I think everyone here does as well. So thank you, mate.
Thank you for having me.
Just want to ask one more question before we finish. You know, I started this show because at the time I just kept on working small jobs, like labouring or like working by the bar and just doing all these kinds of stuff. Started a Christmas tree returning business.
Returning?
Yeah, because you know when you have a Christmas tree, but you have to deliver it at the appropriate. You know, it's like putting stuff at the tip. You
like
can't fly
finished.
tip.
That's
when
a great
finished.
shout. Yeah.
Because I had a van but it didn't go very well.
Pine needles everywhere.
I was pining my life. That's pining part of my life. And just barking up the wall and
oh, double down.
Different layers to it, and I kept on being cut down by future clients. But I kept on fucking it up. You know, every job I had, I'd fuck up in a particular way or another. You know, and that's what happens if you don't care. You know, talking earlier about doing this show because we care about music. When you work another job that you don't care about, you end up fucking it up. Have you got any? I'm putting you on the spot again, but have you got any particular memories of fucking it up at work?
Yeah, I worked, Ryan, my friend in the break, was like, why haven't you mentioned Blendini? So...
Blendini?
Does someone know Blendini? Shout out. So Blendini was a rip-off of Shakeaway that existed in Maidstone, and we used to blend chocolate bars into milkshakes because there was a little cubby hole that when like the leftover bit, whatever.
Worth it.
Yeah, just like I fucked that job up loads, but they kept me, and they used to rip me because I'd be like, I'm only doing this whilst I'm trying to get into the band because I dropped out of uni to work in a milkshake shop. And
were you honest to your boss? Were you like, could you say, I don't really want to be here?
Yeah, and that's why they used to rip the piss out of me even more. And then I got into the NME when that was still like the holy grail, and like had that little feature on our first ever record, Sugarcoat a Bit of Truth. And they would literally say to customers like, I'm Laurie and I've been in the NME. And yeah, there were times in that shop, but I've got really fond memories of that shop. That's what like, you know, made me. But yeah.
Good for your ego.
Yeah, really good, because the kids would come back that were actually at uni and go, oh yeah, I'll have a Bueno milkshake. And what are you up to, mate? And I'm stood there in a Blendini branded fucking outfit going, oh, I'm in a band. Mortifying.
What about playing it in the band? Have you got on stage and just like it doesn't work, or you fuck it up? You know, you fuck up the thing that you're supposed to do, the one thing you're there for.
But that's the really cool thing about our band, is that people like the fact that it's real and raw. And so when we started and I hadn't developed a way of splitting the guitar signal properly, and the amps would just feed back and the tubes would be broken. Sometimes we'd play half an hour sets and 25 minutes was us just talking because everything was broken. So we had to develop the ability to laugh at ourselves and talk to the audience. And now we actually like are excited when stuff goes wrong on stage. Like I jumped off a main stage the other day in Czechia and my headstock just slammed against the monitor stand and just split off. Just like, for fuck's sake.
The guitar?
Yeah, just the spiky bit at the top just went pew, and like kick people in the face. And it's just funny though, because people know when they come and see us, there's no backing track, there's no AI, it's real. And when it goes wrong, we're honest with you.
Yeah.
So just accept it. It's fun.
I think we're in that time of music that we appreciate that. You know, there's a funny time in the noughties, around that Limp Bizkit time, that even if it was raw like Limp Bizkit, there was still a shiny veneer on it. It was still like sort of behind the velvet curtain. We're so out of that now. Like, I feel like we're just out of that now. And it's a fun way to live. I think at Get Down services, love that band. Like, they're the same. Things fuck up and it doesn't really matter because that's part of the experience. Like Idols, I think that happened. Like, we like that in band. Like, we want authenticity. It's a silly word, but you know, we want that. We want rawness, realness.
And I think when we started, there was this feeling of let's try and make, you go to the recording studio to record what you do, and then there's this feeling it has to be the same thing. And then as I've got older, it's like the live version should be different to the recorded version, because then that's the experience you're coming to pay for. Mm-hmm. And there's hi-hats on like all of our songs, and no one's called us out on it yet. And I'm like, when's they gonna notice? Like, it's just a massive piss take.
Yeah. A massive piss take.
Life.
Here we are. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Laurie Vincent. Oh, we did have 2 audience questions. One of them was about jiu-jitsu and getting into it. The other one,
we've done them already.
We've kind of done them.
Oh, cool.
And the other one was about the name change. And, you know, fuck it, let's talk about it. You wanted to be on the right side of history.
Exactly. And I think I came home from naming the band Slaves, and my mum went, that's not going to work. And I was like, fuck you, Mum. And I genuinely never thought it would be a problem, because we're never going to go to America. This will break up in a year or whatever. And then all of a sudden it did work. And then you're signed.
And they did have Slaves down the road in Greenwich and Cutty Sark. There was, yeah.
I was ignorant to all of that. Do you know what I mean? Just like, I didn't pay attention in history, and they don't teach you anything useful in history because the British ignore everything. We're not owning up to colonising.
How many people here have just started learning about Ireland because of kneecap? Yeah. We're taught none of that important stuff in history.
No, because there's still an uncomfortable thing about being British, that the whole being colonisers isn't quite, we're still celebrating, it's all awkward. And anyway, there was always a problem with the name, and there was this decision, do we double down on it and then always have to be in this argument about it? And I was just like, I don't fucking want to anymore. And I would rather go, I hear you, and we were ignorant at the time, it didn't seem as much of a problem at the time, and our new name suits us even better, and we get to move on. And the people that are angry about it are the people that are calling us woke like snowflakes, and they gave us an amazing song, and I'll just keep changing. We might change our name again. Like, I just it's not that deep. And I think that it was getting me down so much that I'm like, I'm gonna have to talk about this forever. And Joe from Idol said to me, he was like, I don't think you should change your name, but if you don't change your name, and if you do change your name, you have to talk about it. He was like, you can't sit there and deflect the question and pretend that you're too good to talk about the issue. And that was really useful advice. Shout out Joe. And he educated me, and I'm now old enough that I can like hold my hands up and go, yeah, I was hiding from it, and I was ashamed of it, and I was fearful of it. But actually, when you're just authentic and you say your fears, people are really accepting. So the stuff we weren't expecting with the feedback was mind-blowing, because we were just thinking people would go, too late, you fucked it, you should have changed it years ago. And none of that happened. It was just people that aren't fans of our bands going, you're bloody snowflakes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm really stoked we did it, and I feel more able to be a band now because of it. Yeah. Rather than argue about something through defensiveness and fear.
Feels like you're in the conversation. I think that's what I get as being like a music fan, whether it's punk or hip hop or like whatever. Like, it's like you're part of the experience. And I think having a band that's willing to step into a conversation, actively step into a conversation and not hide away from it, we respect that. And people, that respect is like honored by probably what you didn't expect, which is like made it even more of an important thing.
And even within our own camp, it was like this constant pinball of like, one day we're going to change it, the next day we're not. And then in the end, I just went, I'm not going to do it unless we change it. And that's like my style. Like eventually I just get to an ultimatum.
Yeah.
And I think we also in our day and age get so tied to an idea of our identity based on our profiles. Like, imagine David Bowie started today and none of his back catalogue existed. Every time he wanted to change his name based on the album, the record company would go, that's a stupid idea. We can't do it. We've got it all linked. We've got that at state saved. We don't have the handle for that. He wouldn't be able to physically do it. So we're trapping ourselves in all of this technology that's actually holding us back.
I think that's cool with the OCs and John Dwyer.
Confusing, but I like it.
Fun.
Yeah.
I want to know more.
Me too.
Tattoos, someone asked about as well. You've obviously got a lot of tattoos. Do you tattoo other people?
I used to.
You used to.
My mum said that I had to have a backup job, so I was like, I'll be a tattooist.
How'd you do it? Because becoming a tattooist...
I got an old school apprenticeship. I used to have to like mop the floors, clean the grips and tips, and yeah, like...
You got through that?
I got just about to... I was just being let loose on the public, and then we got signed, and yeah.
What tattoos did you do? Any memorable ones?
I've done like loads on my legs, and I did my favourite one ever was a giraffe on a woman's calf.
Yeah.
I did a lot of shit as well. It's horrific.
Tends to get back into it, especially alongside the art stuff and just being in the rhythm of drawing. I know it's different, but...
I'd love to, but it's tattooing just is such an exhausting process. Like, so much respect to anyone that does it. And I've got so much respect to the industry that I'd only want to do it if I could sit there and do it every single day and be really good at it. Like, I don't want to just dip in and be shit at it occasionally. It's like I reckon you should always book to see a band on like a few dates towards the end of their tour, because we're like crap on the first date. And like by the last date, we're amazing.
Doing something every day. Hey, nice one. Thank you very much. This is good fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tate, for having us. Cheers for watching. This is 101 Part-Time Jobs. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, and all podcast apps. We've done interviews with Aurora, Kneecap, Idols, Lauren Maybury of Churches, and loads more. So tap into 101 Part-Time Jobs on Spotify, Apple, and all podcast apps.